Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the commanding officer of 1 Marine Expeditionary Force Information Group, Colonel William E. DeLeo, welcome to the retirement ceremony in which Master Gunnery Sergeant Matthew Holly will retire from the United States Marine Corps after 30 years of honorable and faithful service. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the invocation given by Chaplain Blythe.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we thank you for this time-honored retirement ceremony in which we celebrate the illustrious career of Master Gunnery Sergeant Matthew O'Connor Holly, who in Phoenix, Arizona, heard his nation's cry and said, "Here am I, send me." Ever since that day, over 30 years ago, this United States Marine has served his country with honor, courage, and commitment. He's had the humility to listen and learn, the courage to lead by respect that was hard-earned, and has never looked back or dropped his pack. We thank you for your hand of favor and protection that has been with him wherever he has served, in places like Iraq, Bahrain, Afghanistan, Japan, and across the globe, capturing the story as it happened. And now, Lord, as Matt concludes this chapter within his lifebook's cover and turns the page to write yet another, we pray that you will bless him, his wife Karen, and his children, Taylor and Alex, as they go on to write exciting new chapters together. We thank you as well for Darwin, who made a great sacrifice for so many years. We thank you as well for his beloved parents, Scott and Mary, whose example have paved the way, and Matt growing into the great man he is today. But first, as our brother prepares to relinquish the watch to those he's mentored and led, we pray he will reminisce with great joy on all that will be said, and may we all here be inspired to maintain the laudable legacy we will always attach to his name. We ask this in the name of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Amen.
The retiring officer for today's ceremony is Major Hector Alejandro. He will be accompanied by Sergeant Major Geronimo Guzman, Command Senior Enlisted Leader, 1 Marine Expeditionary Force Information Group.
Ready to be retired. Set up. March.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of our national anthem. For those not in military uniform, we ask that you place your right hand over your heart. United States Marine Corps Master Gunnery Sergeant Matthew Holly was transferred this date from the U.S. Marine Corps to the Fleet Marine Reserve after 30 years of honorable and faithful active service. Signed, Eric M. Smith, General, U.S. Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Dear Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly, the Marine Corps has been your occupation and family for many years past, and I am certain the memories, interests, and the future of the Corps will remain with you forever. Many desire to obtain your accomplished goals, but few can compare to you. You have clearly demonstrated the exceptional leadership qualities and professional contributions we seek of our senior Marines. We are proud, as you must be, of your successful career. As a teacher to young Marines, a source of wise counsel, and as an example of those soldierly virtues we so admire, you have made a mark on the Corps that will remain long after you have left our active ranks. There are many young Marines you have influenced who will carry on in the same fine tradition that has always characterized the United States Marine Corps. You have my best wishes for good health and continued success in the years ahead. Semper Fidelis. Signed, Eric M. Smith, General, U.S. Marine Corps, Commandant of the Marine Corps. Dear Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly, congratulations on your retirement. I want to express my heartfelt thanks for your many years of devoted service to our country and Corps. You have made tremendous contributions and sacrifices throughout your Marine Corps career, enduring through every challenge and persevering to the end. Our Corps has never been about equipment or accolades, but rather the war-fighting spirit that lives deep in our Marines. Your spirit will now live on in those you have mentored, led, and taught. Though you are hanging your uniform up for the last time, our cloth will always have your threads running through it. As you enter this new chapter of life, take pride in all your accomplishments. Your professionalism has set the standard of excellence for future Marines who will carry on the legacy of the Corps. My wife Andrea and I wish you continued success in all your future endeavors. Remember to stay connected, as our collective legacy depends on it. Semper Fidelis, signed, Carlos A. Ruiz, 20th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. At this time, Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly's family will join his side. Certificate of Appreciation presented to Mrs. Karen San Buenaventura and Darla, Taylor, and Alex Holly. In sincere appreciation for your unselfish, faithful, and devoted service during your Marines tour with the Marines of 1 Marine Expeditionary Force Information Group. Your unwavering support and understanding were vital in enabling your Marine to make lasting contributions to both the Corps and this command. We acknowledge that your support came with its own hardships and sacrifices throughout your Marines' 30 years of military service. Thank you. Signed, Colonel W. E. DeLille, Commanding Officer, 1 Marine Expeditionary Force Information Group. The family of Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly may now return to their seats. And now, the retiring officer for today's ceremony, Major Hector Alejandro.
Good afternoon. Can everybody hear me? Hey, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you Colonel DeLille for being here. Sergeant Major Guzman. Master Guns, I'm not surprised that there's so many people here that love you, that wouldn't miss this for the world, that are so happy that you picked a beautiful California day and location that matches not only the moment, but the personality of someone who's always brought joy to everyone who's ever served with them. Today we get the honor to celebrate the remarkable career of Master Guns Matthew O'Connor Holly. And we're paying tribute to a man whose leadership, commitment, and incredible work ethic have left a mark on the Marine Corps for years to come. I've had the pleasure of knowing Master Guns Holly for 12 years. And I think one of our first encounters, we were actually on a beach in Virginia Beach doing a CrossFit workout that Gunnery Sergeant Alex Malera put together. And we were sweating just like we are today, but little did we know that 2 years later we'd be serving surrounded by sand on the other side of the planet in Iraq, in biblical Nineveh of all places. And we would be the only 2 Marines in the whole base. But before Matt and I ever met, he had already served an illustrious career in our Corps, and I want to walk you through that journey. That brought him from his hometown of Phoenix, Arizona, to today, the capstone of his 30-year career. Some of you might know that before the Marine Corps, young Matt Holly worked in the trades. He's been working pretty much his whole life. He even worked at a Payless shoe source, if anyone remembers that store. And his true calling really was the Marine Corps. Maybe it was the Will Smith movie that was a summer hit in 1996 that changed his mind, and I know something about movies based on my current job, but he decided to raise his hand and say, I want to join the Marine Corps. And by October 21st, he was standing on the yellow footprints not too far from here in San Diego. To put it in context, that same week, the song of the summer was still playing everywhere you went. The Macarena was #1. Independence Day was the top movie of the summer. A gallon of gasoline cost $1.25. The Dow Jones was at 6,000 points. It's gone up 800% since, so if you go back in time, that's a good stock recommendation on me. BAH for a sergeant here in Camp Pendleton was $700, and that's with dependents. General Charles Krulak was the Commandant of the Marine Corps, along with Sergeant Major Lewis G. Lee. Bill Clinton was president. And then, probably most memorable to Matt was 21 months earlier, his beloved 49ers had lifted the Lombardi Trophy. So, after successfully completing recruit training, Private Holly received his first orders that wouldn't be the last to Camp Pendleton. He attended Marine combat training at the School of Infantry West and attended Personnel Administration School, where he was promoted to Private First Class. Then, in July of 1997, he joined the 1st Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, where he was promoted to Lance Corporal and meritoriously promoted to Corporal. That means that even back then, he was really good. Corporal Holly was then transferred to I&I duty at Marine Corps Air Station Camp Pendleton, where he served with Coyotes, HMLA 775. Now, here comes the fun part, because we all know he's not an admin Marine anymore. He's a Comstrat Marine, and he decided to transfer over to what was then called Public Affairs to become a combat correspondent. And in June, he became what we would call a DINFOS trained killer. He went to Fort Meade, Maryland, and completed the Defense Information School and finished at the top of his class. No surprise. Now, while he was at school, the world changed. 9/11 changed, our nation changed, the Marine Corps changed. And he had some change to come, and he would be a part of that change for the world in the Marine Corps. His first assignment as a combat correspondent was at Marine Corps Air Station New River, and he probably remembers that day today, thinking, as he's pulling up to Jacksonville, North Carolina, maybe I need to get back to Camp Pendleton, because this is not what I'm used to. And his whole family was probably thinking, we should just turn around now. This is, it's not safe here. Nevertheless,
Dara was crying.
Nevertheless, they thrived. He thrived everywhere he went. Sergeant Holly went on to work on something called a newspaper. Maybe you've heard of it. We don't have them anymore. But he was also the media NCO for the station. And that's where he earned his aircrew wings, flying the C-12, and in his free time, which I really have no idea how he had free time, he also earned an associate in liberal arts from Campbell University. In July of 2003, Sergeant Holly was selected for marketing and public affairs duty at Recruiting Station Denver, so no more Jacksonville, North Carolina. It's a 4511, and he achieved more than $1 million worth of public service announcements, which is no joke. He was recognized for all his great efforts as the Western Region's MPA of the Year. That's a big deal. In July of 2006, he returns to what was by that point home to him, Camp Pendleton, to join the 13th Marine Expeditionary Unit, completing 3 deployments as the Public Affairs Chief. That's when he went to Operation Iraqi Freedom, and a couple times to Operation Enduring Freedom, all across the U.S. Central Command area of responsibility. By September of 2009, Staff Sergeant Holly was selected to Gunnery Sergeant and received orders to another beautiful duty station, Hawaii, where he served Marine Corps Forces Pacific as the Public Affairs Operations Chief. Then he planned and executed mill-to-mill training exercises all over the Pacific, so you got to go to more cool places. And he also was a part of important missions where Marines were doing really important things, helping people in need, such as Operation Tomodachi, 2011, when the earthquake severely damaged and hurt people in Japan, earthquake and tsunami. By August of 2011, Gunnery Holly PCA'd across the other side of the island, where he served as the base public affairs chief. So far, all really good duty stations: SoCal, coastal North Carolina, Denver, Okinawa, Hawaii. So it was time for some heat. And Gunnery Holly had to go to the Sandbox B in Bahrain, starting in 2013, where he served as the public affairs chief and planner for the crisis action team. In 2014, after a year in Bahrain, he joined a place very special to my heart, a unit formerly known as the Joint Public Affairs Support Element, now called JPCPA, in Norfolk, Virginia. And during his 4 years plus, he served as the JEC First Sergeant. He served as the Joint Task Force Senior Enlisted Leader for a 1-star command. He served as an observer trainer for combatant command exercises all across the world. He supported humanitarian operations in Haiti. He supported combat operations in Iraq. And that's where we spent a few months together in real up close and personal, supporting a really important mission, which we only had 4 days notice for. And that was really the trend of all these operations that we supported at JEC. Your bag was ready to go at all times, and Matt was always making sure that not only his bag was ready, but the whole team. And when I say the whole team, we're really talking about colonels, lieutenant colonels, a bunch of senior folks that needed a really helpful and wise and really the kindest man I know, senior enlisted leader, to come out and help us make sure that we're going in the right place at the right time. Most importantly, keeping us safe in Iraq. We were probably only 10, 20 miles from where we were killing really bad guys, ISIS in Mosul, and it was the best team to be there with. We had Lieutenant Colonel Ali Hamilton, we had our Army partners, and the two of us as the lone Marines on the base. But I learned so much in that time, and sometimes I got to torture Master Guns and make him watch the Star Wars Christmas special. But then I also brought him some joy and showed him Black Mirror on those nights where we were able to have some free time and enjoy what we could while being in Iraq. So all that time in the JEC, always busy, always traveling, he still found time to continue his education, got his bachelor's degree in journalism from Wayland Baptist University. And then he leaves the joint world, where he comes back to a new Marine Corps where public affairs and combat camera were now merging into a new occupational field, communication strategy and operations. And if I recall, I think we actually voted for that in a opportunity that he said, hey, give us some feedback. I remember sitting down saying, yeah, ComStrat, that sounds kind of nice. So it's kind of our fault. Sorry about that. I know there's a lot of consternation about the name, but we liked it then. I still like it now. I don't know how you feel about it.
Right.
And then in May 2018, Master Sergeant Holly comes over here to be the 1st Marine Division ComStrat Chief. And looking back at my memories of that, I remember him being really reinvigorated by having young Marines around him. Because one of the drawbacks of being at the JEC in Norfolk is a bunch of senior folks, you know, we're very big boy rules, but you don't have the opportunity to really mentor those young Marines. So it was really meaningful to be back around those young Marines. I think that easily boosted him another 10 years in saying, this is where I need to be, this is where I want to be. I remember coming back here for the first time for myself to be a part of then Master Gun's promotion ceremony May of 2019. And right then he joined 1MEF as a senior enlisted advisor as part of the 1 May ComStrat company. And I think I said to you at the time, I don't know a better person to wear the rank and carry the privilege than you of a Master Guns. Having served with him at that point for 4 years, I knew exactly the man he was, and still is. So not long after he shifted over to the MEF headquarters, all while still finding time to continue his education and earning a Master of Science in Integrated Marketing Communications from West Virginia University. I think we were both doing grad school at the time, and he beat me to completing the degree. Then he brings us back here to Camp Pendleton. Sorry, I skipped the part where he checked into 3MEF shortly after that to be the ComStrat Senior Enlisted Leader in September of 2022. Spent a few years in Okinawa, And then he came back here right where it all started. He had to end it where it started. So it's been serving his second tour as the 1 MiG Senior Enlisted Leader and 30 years of service. And that's one hell of a journey. Over the past years, Master Guns, you haven't slowed down 1 inch. He's shown signs of wanting to keep serving even past when he knew the Marine Corps said, hey, you really gotta go, man. But he still has it in him. He still has it in him to continue because of those young Marines that he's reinvigorated by. And it reminds me of a story that I heard before, and like any good Comstrat officer, I had to fact check it before sharing it with you all. But there's a legendary baseball player named Joe DiMaggio. And he was a longtime center fielder for the New York Yankees. And a reporter asked him one time, you know, why do you work so hard in a game when you're winning 10-0? It's the 9th inning, you're running into the stands trying to catch a foul ball. And DiMaggio responds by saying he gets that kind of hustle because there's always someone in the stands, whether it's a kid who's seeing him for the first time, or maybe someone who's seeing him for the last time and only time. And he wants to make sure he's providing that best effort for that kid. And that sums up the energy and the overall spirit that Master Guns Holly has embodied over his 30-year career. He's given every Marine, doesn't matter the rank, you give us all and your family your very best every time. Another example, sometimes even other people's families, we were getting ready to deploy to Iraq with, once again, 4 days notice. I had only given my wife 2 days notice because I didn't want her crying for 2 days. And we were at the rifle range, brought my wife with me, believe it or not, and she's a wreck. And then Matt goes over and talks to her and calms her down. And she's like, who is that guy? You know, we barely know her. We had just gotten to the unit. And that's been a memorable moment for both of us, just knowing that you were always there to help, you know, bring all the vibes to the place where they need to be and help get us squared away. Now, I want to take a moment to speak to your family. You know, thanks to your parents, Scott and Mary, who you really raised an outstanding human being. Where are you? Sorry, there you go, there you go. You raised an outstanding human being. Thank you very much. Thank you to his former wife, Darla. She served as well for 20 years, and through all the countless PCS moves and deployments, and you were always there making sure everything was right. Thanks to his daughter, Taylor, and his son, Alex. Throughout every mission I ever traveled, Matt was always talking about you the whole time. And finally, thank you to his wife, Karen. You've seen him through his final years and make sure he gets across the finish line. And he's still going at full speed thanks to you. So I speak for all the Marines throughout your career. I want to say thank you for your sacrifice, constantly performing, constantly doing the thankless job of listening, and on behalf of everyone whose life you've shaped and continue to shape, thank you for your commitment. Master Guns, as you close this chapter, your active duty chapter with more chapters to follow, it's clear that your impact has been nothing short of legendary. You make everything better. You leave Comstrat and the Marine Corps way better than you found it. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your leadership and your unwavering dedication to the Marine Corps. We can only hope that when you retire, you finally have a little bit more time to catch up on all the music you've been wanting to play and travel and family time. And I really look forward to listening to you and jamming out some here sometime in the near future. So with that said, Master Guns, the floor is yours.
So, can you hear me? Okay, got it. All right. What a day with all these faces. I didn't know I knew this many people. I said, Brian Cutler out there, howdy. Lieutenant Colonel Lizaldi, retired, welcome. Colonel DeLille, thank you for being here. I know you have very little white space on your calendar, and I just definitely appreciate it. Sergeant Major Guzman, thank you. Sergeant Major Hines, the legend, thank you. I appreciate you all. Q, Master Gunnery Sergeant, who retired last week. That was an awesome ceremony. So, thank you all for being here. Good afternoon, everyone. Commanders, colonels, sergeants major and master gunnery sergeants, or as a good friend of mine would say, elite nines. So you could kill two birds, or feed two birds with one scone. Who says that? Where is he? Pete? Chief Warrant Officer Tabo. Oh, okay, there he is. Okay, cool. Yeah, welcome everybody. Those who are hanging out for because I heard they're going to be tacos. I see you squatters over there. It means the world to me to see so many familiar faces. I especially want to recognize those who traveled an absurd number of miles to celebrate this milestone. Pam from Hawaii, thank you. Hopefully you brought me a t-shirt. Okay. Rocco, Pete Kerner, the other Pete. You guys flew in, one from East Coast, one from Chicago. Surprised you made it through TSA, but I'm glad you're here. Yeah. Did Colonel Gouveia make it? Oh, sir, thank you for being here. Cool. He's the only breakdancing colonel I bet you'll find. It's true. Get him on the dance floor, he'll bust out some moves. So, yeah, 30 years in the Marine Corps, 3 decades. When I look out at some of these younger Marines in the audience, I realize I'm basically a walking historical artifact, or a fossil, if you will. But let the record show that I enlisted back in the 1900s. That is correct. And back then, we navigated with real paper maps. We didn't have smartphones. Our idea of a smartphone was just a payphone that was in a better neighborhood. Yeah. And when our idea of cyber warfare was someone picking up the receiver phone. Somebody picking up the receiver while you're trying to dial into AOL. But the truth is, military service runs deep in my blood. Long before the 1900s, I stand here today as a product of the giants who came before me. My granddad, who fought in the European theater during World War II, and he retired as a chief warrant officer, I think the exact same year I was born, or 2 years, 72, 70, okay. He's a chief warrant officer in the Army. He used to say, you know, I wasn't a chief warrant officer 5, because they didn't have him back then. God bless that man. I need to recognize my adopted grandfather, or it's really my grandpa. He served in the Pacific with the Navy, and of course we don't hold that against him. You know, we love our Navy brothers. You know, we love our corpsmen. We love our docs. Love the chaplain. So I know he had to take off. But thank you, Chaplain Blythe. I know you hear me out there. And then I'd lastly recognize my Uncle Les. He was kind of the conduit between my service and those of my grandfathers. He was a Vietnam vet. Had a pretty rough go from what I understand, but yeah, he survived, and he's still with us. Now, to my family, I must recognize my brothers. I have my twin brother, my 2 older brothers. They're not here, they couldn't make it, but thank you. Growing up with you, that was, growing up with the 3 brothers was really, essentially my boot camp, you know. You know, we were doing the Marine Corps martial arts before we even knew what it was. So, thanks for all the wrestling matches. Prepared me perfectly for dealing with the company and Marines. Okay. Above all else, you know, Major Alejandro, you already said it. I must honor my mom and dad. Mom, Dad, everything good in me, everything I has achieved in this uniform started with you. You taught me the value of hard work, the keeping my word, being honest, just being a good person, and standing my ground when necessary. I learned to choose my battles as well. So, you endured the deployments just like the family did. You know, the missed holidays, the nervous phone calls. I hated calling you every time. I was getting ready to deploy. It was almost heartbreaking, but wouldn't miss it for the world. Love those deployments. Also want to recognize my partner in crime for 28 years. It's my former wife. We remain partners in raising our two beautiful children, Taylor and Alex. So thank you, darling. Taylor, Alex, you made me want to be better. You made me better. And being your dad is the greatest privilege of my life. Quit crying. And a massive shout out to my current wife, Karen. Yes, that's her real name. Karen, thank you for your love, your patience, and for being brave enough to take on a retiring Marine who is about to have way too much free time on his hand. You keep me grounded, and I couldn't do this without you. Looking back on this career, I've had the privilege of serving in some incredible units. Our Deep Marine Expeditionary Unit. That gave me some of the wildest stories and the best friends. There's nothing like floating around on an ocean, cutting gator squares, or deploying back to, going straight to Iraq, that first deployment, the best one. But yeah, those times that make you question life choices sometimes. But here we are. Hopefully we're better because of it. Thank you all for being here. The Blue Diamond, that holds a special place in my heart. It's a pretty amazing unit. Served with the 1st Marine Division's badge of honor I will wear on my soul for the rest of my life. And that was a good thing about being with the Teenage Muse. We got the BLTs were always from 1st Marine Division, so that was very special. So to the Marines I served with in all those units and all the Marines along the way, you are the reason I stayed in for 30 years. It wasn't easy. I would beg to differ. I have slowed down quite a bit. It hurts. My sciatica. Oh my gosh. So, but I'll end with this, I wish I could have taken all of you through 80% of my career. The camaraderie, the laughs, the sunrises on foreign shores. Then those are moments I wish everyone can experience. There's 10% I wouldn't wish on anyone. And the last 10%, well, I'll keep that for myself. Oh yeah, got my cue. Excuse me for a second. I need to make it down to the recruiting station for a few hours so I could tell war stories and how I really didn't end up with syphilis. It's a joke. Thank you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, in lieu of gifts, Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly is donating to the United States Marine Corps Combat Correspondence Association. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, Gunnery Sergeant Morabito will present a retirement gift to Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly on behalf of the 1 Marine Expeditionary Force Information Group and those that he honorably served with.
Oh, listen, I still feel I say, yeah, do I take it or no? Nice. That's our Castro. Where you at? Thank you. In the back. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly's service in 1st Marine Division, we ask that all Marines who have served with the Blue Diamond, please rise and remain standing for the playing of Waltzing Matilda. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Holly family, thank you for your presence in honoring Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly for his faithful dedication to God, country, and the United States Marine Corps over the past 30 years. Please remain silent as we honor Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly with the reading of Old Glory, followed by the presentation of the watch.
I am the flag of the United States of America. My name is Old Glory. I stand watch in America's halls of justice. I fly majestically over great institutions of learning. I stand guard with the greatest military power in the world. Look up and see me. I stand for peace, honor, truth, and justice. I stand for freedom. I am confident. I am arrogant. I am proud. When I am flown with my fellow banners, my head is held a little higher. My colors are a little truer. I bow to no one. I am recognized all over the world. I am saluted. I am respected. I am revered. I am loved. And I am feared. For more than 200 years, I have fought in every battle of every war. Tripoli, Chapultepec, Gettysburg, San Juan Hill, Bellewood, the jungles of Guam, Okinawa, Tarawa, Korea, Vietnam, in the heat of the Persian Gulf, and a score of other places long forgotten by all but those who were there with me. I was there. I led my soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. I followed them and watched over them. They loved me. I was on a small hill on Iwo Jima. I was dirty, battle-torn, and tired, but my Marines and sailors cheered me. I was proud. I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of countries I have helped set free. It does not hurt, for I have been soiled, burned, torn, and trampled on the streets of my own country. When it is done by those I have served and battled with, it hurts. But I shall overcome, for I am strong. I have been a silent witness to all of America's finest hours. But my finest hour comes when I am torn in strips to be used as bandages for my wounded comrades on the field of battle. When I fly half-mast to honor my soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines. And when I lie in the trembling arms of a grieving mother at the graveside of her fallen son or daughter. I am proud. My name is Old Glory. Long may I wave. Dear God, long may I wave.
This certifies that the accompanying American flag was flown over 1 Meth Support Battalion, Camp Pendleton, California on August 6, 2026, in honor of Master Gunnery Sergeant Matthew Holly, in recognition of his dedicated and faithful service to the United States Navy and United States Marine Corps for a period of 30 years. The Officer of the Day has made an entry in the logbook attesting to the fact. C.W. Sophie, Colonel, United States Marine Corps, commanding.
For 30 years, this Marine has stood the watch. While some of us were in our beds at night, this Marine stood a watch. While some of us were in school, learning our trade, this Marine stood a watch. And yes, even before some of us were born into this world, this Marine stood a watch. In those years, when the storm clouds of war were seen brewing on the horizon of history, this Marine stood a watch. Many times, he would cast an eye ashore and see his family standing there, needing his guidance, his help, needing a hand to hold during those hard times. And still, this Marine stood a watch. He stood the watch for 30 years. He stood the watch so that we, our families, and our fellow countrymen can sleep safely and soundly at night, knowing that a Marine stood the watch. Today we're here to say, Marine, the watch stands relieved. Relieved by those you have trained, guided, and led. Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly, you stand relieved. We have the watch.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's ceremony. Please join Master Gunnery Sergeant Holly and distinguished guests for a reception nearby.